Very good day to you. Welcome to our program on television, Parliament and Governance. My name is Evan Sunukoge, and of course today on the program Parliament and Governance, we are going to be looking at one of the latest developments at the Nigerian Senate. All right, talking about the rejection of rotational government bill. We understand that recently Senator Abba Moro, representing Benue South at the Senate, it's kind of suggested a bill, and that bill will give rise to rotational presidency. A situation whereby any person that will vie for president in the country may have to come from the sixth geopolitical zone on rotational basis. That's for presidential election. And of course, for governorship election at the state level, any person vying, any candidate vying for the position of a governor in a state may have to come from any person vying for the governorship position in the state will have to come from the three senatorial districts in the state or from the federal constituencies in a state on rotational basis. Well, good enough, that bill kind of received some form of maybe acceptance, so to say, but only the fact that it was stepped down. It was rejected on the basis that it will contravene the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Well, to look at all this today on the program Parliament and Governance, I'm so privileged to have Barrister Dr. Patrick Awo Osaige. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, and hello, viewers at home.
Okay. According to Senator Abba Moro, there is a need to legalize the rotation of power among the six geopolitical zones of Nigeria for position of the president and also among the three senatorial seats and also federal constituencies in the case of governorship election in the state. Well, let's quickly take an excerpt and see how Senator Abba Moro went about the bill.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill was mentioned and read for the first time in this very revered chamber on Tuesday, 26 July 2022. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the one and sole intent of this bill is to enact a legislation that will seek to amend the provisions of the Constitution to provide for the rotation of power among the geopolitical zones, governorship among the senatorial districts and federal constituencies in general elections in Nigeria. This bill has become imperative considering the controversies trailing the nomination of persons for elections into various offices, especially the offices of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and governors of various states of the Federal Republic.
All right, welcome one more time to the program Parliament and Governance on Independent Television. Dr. Barrister Patrick Awo Osaige, we just saw Senator Abba Moro from Benue South proposing the need for us to have a kind of a rotational presidency in the case of presidential election, and of course for us to have rotational governorship in the case of governorship election in the states. What do you make of this bill?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, we should, like he should also know as a lawmaker, you cannot just jump out from the blues to canvass things like that. You must follow the due process of, constitutional review, if you ask me. And having that in mind, it's a good idea to some extent. We cannot utterly say all that was said was not good in that light. But looking at it and the importance of what he has said, having a rotational government, or rather candidates, as it were, from the sixth geopolitical zone and the senatorial districts, as it were, it's a good thing to think about. But my major concern, or how I want to see it, that isn't the problem that's befalling the Nigerian states. That's not the major issues that we should be grappling with if we are to look at it straight sensu. Now, looking at the issue of rotational presidency. Now, for instance, let's take a critical look at the previous administration. I'm talking of the Goodluck Jonathan's government. While he had sway as president and his hometown Bayelsa from Otweke, in Bayelsa State, where his people are resident. Obviously, to be said, well, a South person had become president, what and how, or rather, it's our turn, as it were, it's our turn now, we have to get this done. Now, what as his presidency, what did he really do for the average Bayelsa person. Other than just say, it's my brother. Our brother is now in Abuja as rock as it stands, just like those from Katsina, the north, who also say, Buhari, our brother. You understand that Buhari being president has done anything so personic to the Bayelsa, or rather to the Katsina people, because of the insecurity that's unleashed on them. Today now, a lot of them have been named, attacked by criminals, and this is basically what has been the situation. So that he's from that region have not brought sanity or succor or respite to them. So that we have someone from, Olusegun Obasanjo at some point in time, the West president, if that's basically what we're looking at, that's not basically what's going to bring about the change. We need to look inward and start thinking nationally, other than this parochial way of looking at it, under the lines and guides of ethnicity, religion, like they are canvassing now, no Muslims. I'm one of those advocates for, we don't give a damn about who is president or who is not. If we have indisputable rights, and if we have the structures in place, we are not talking about Muslim or Christian. Presently, we have a Christian-Muslim or a Muslim-Christian ticket that's ongoing, right under the watch of our dear pastor, professor, lawyer like me, very renowned person of Professor Shibanjo, in his own zone, where you call the West now. Folks in the church were killed. It didn't have anything to do. It had nothing to do with Muslim or Christian. It had nothing to do with Christian or Muslim. I know, yes, we've argued that we must be part of it and we must come to show. That's fine if just being a part of it. But I'm looking at it in a more deeper sense of value. We are looking at a state of the nation today. The economy is going down and things are not working too well for the country, which we pray that things will pick up. We are servicing debt with trillions, and we are, capital projects is on the whole. And we see a whole lot of waste in the government. All of this is affecting both Muslim, Christian, northern and southern. Now, all the six geopolitical zones, they're all faced with it. We can see what's happening in that's Kogi now. The other day I saw on social media that a large part of the state been submerged in water. I saw that and that was funny. It wasn't rather funny because people are losing their properties. So where is government? Where is the ecological funds? What are we doing? So it has nothing to do. My argument have always been this idea of my brother, my sister, my people are on, this in Abuja. That's not what's going to help the country. We need competent hands. We need a man who is savvy, who is able to do the needful. That is what Nigerians should be looking at. Not coming up with bill. Why is he coming now? Why is he coming now, if not for political reasons? I don't like cheap political talk. He's been there. He's been there all the while. What has he done for his local constituents? In as much as I respect his opinion, you have rights to it. But as a senator, what other laws have you come up with? I'm not saying anything that are better than the laws of the people. Okay. We should look at it critically and away from this idea of myopic tendencies to cause unnecessary trouble where there is none. Okay.
All right. The issue of the principle of the federal character principle has always been a big issue in the country. And of course, it's one of the reasons that Senator Abba Moro kind of cited. That's for us to have a true federal character principle. The issue of rotational presidency, rotational governorship, should be encouraged in the country. So don't you think that was probably a good ground for him to have want to talk about that bill?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I don't like to cite other claim because I wanted to let me just try to put it. Now, for you to emerge as an American president, for instance, there are certain standards. There are certain levels. You are certain level of orientation you would have had in your previous job from the private sector. You should be somebody who is above board, who is not given to much frivolities, or they have known you to be somebody who is not convicted like it's everywhere in the world. You shouldn't have been someone who is questionable, have unfounded words that they don't know, someone who has some questionable character and things they cannot explain, like issues of maybe the president now, Barack Obama. You remember the time when he was president, they asked question of his bet and he needed to clear it. People that don't have things like that should not, you cannot explain. There are things that you cannot tell the world, that they are asking, begging questions about certificates, about school, about relationship, about what you are into, how come about your wealth, how are you this rich, you can explain things like that. People like that should not be close to the corridors of power as it in a sane society. So if we are talking about the federal character, then look at the character of those that are there now. Let us check it. If we are looking at, yes, it's a very good idea, like I've said, it's not absolutely wrong. But we must set the template right. If Mr. Evans is to be picked to be governor of Edo State, I know he worked here at this station. He has entertained us over the radio. He has been here coordinating and moderating, presenting programs. We can lay a finger, oh, we know this man over the years. But somebody we don't know, we don't really know, we say this is the man we have chosen, and they just say where he's from our zone. The same character that of the way things are being done now is still going to work out again, to bring in persons from different geopolitical zone or the federal character like you just quoted. It's not going to be holistic. It's not going to be democratic. It's going to be handpicked from certain clique they call the cabal, which have always been the beam of trouble. And that's basically what we are talking about. So the idea of maybe we need to make it go round. I'm not just looking for an Edo man or a South man or a Westerner or someone from the North. I'm looking for somebody who is competent, who is able to address the problems of the people. That is who we are looking for, not just because he's from that zone. Okay, we cannot say because someone is from the East now, we should give it to anybody. Evans, who was alleged to have convicted for criminal kidnapping, we now say somebody from that kind of character to become governor or president because he's their turn. We need to know who you are because you are going to be holding public office. They say you don't have respect for elders. You should have. We don't want to know about the respect. We need to know this man coming. We need to know these people you are bringing up. I've heard also about some ministers who served in some capacity as some, and they later said, oh, they were actually not from that state. They actually did some brief work and they just had to do some document paperwork. A lot of things like this will come up. So we need these things to be done properly, and competence should be the watchword.
Okay. Now, when you watch, we're going to be seeing some excerpts as we go on the program, the program today. Now, a little wonder, what is really the sincerity behind Abba Moro's position? Because just like what Senator Ovie Omo-Agege was trying to say, that Senator Abba Moro should be asked to tell the presidential candidate to step down, who is from the northern extraction. I mean, for a senator who is trying to say that we should have a rotational presidency, who is from a party that is bringing in northern candidates to run for the position of president next year. So do you see the level of sincerity in Senator Abba Moro's position?
Well, you see, like I said, before we start politicizing it, we should look at, he have right to his opinion. Before he became a political party senator, for the nation and belonging to a political party, he also have his own thoughts, and I cannot take that from him. But that he's having a party where the northern, it's talking about, that's why he's worried. Perhaps, it cannot be telling the party flag bearer to step down. That's an affront. He won't do that. He doesn't have the power to do that. But he probably is looking at it from another way. Look, this man is coming from my political party and from this zone, from this northern region, and another man from the same region. Don't you think it's time we started talking about the rotational thing? Probably that's what prompted him to start conversing along this line. Probably he's also not in tandem with what is going on. He's trying to see how things could be remedied. And that's why he's doing what he's doing. Don't just see maybe, if he supports him, that's why he's trying to create problem. No, he have right to his opinion, and it's quite noted. But what we are saying is that that opinion cannot just, like what they say, you could see what his other colleagues said to him, that you have to be contravening the sections of the Constitution, and that's correct. You cannot just wake up, like I said, you have to walk it through. The Constitution itself is not just what was put together one day. We know what it cost them. I know it was also not holistic at the time of coming in. The Abd Salami era, bringing in the Olusegun, they needed the Constitution. So I think the confab should have been the best at Jonathan's time, 2014, that everybody participated. And to date, we don't know what has happened. Why did they not sign the white paper? Why? That's basically what Nigerians should be asking. We should call for a total overhauling or an outright put aside of the said constitution we have. Okay. It could be done in that light before we start talking about, because trying to pan a bit an already bad weakened pan doesn't make any sense.
Okay. All right. The program is Parliament on Governance, an independent television here in Benin City, South Nigeria. And today we're looking at Senate rejecting rotational government bill and some matters arising. Well, we've told you that Senator Abba Moro, representing Benue South at the Nigerian Senate, was the person that actually originated the bill, only that the bill was rejected on the ground that it will run rather ultra vires of the Constitution. And of course, Senator Abba Moro had to step down on that bill. Now, let's quickly see how some of the reactions went.
Our colleague, the sponsor of this bill, has not shown or referred to any section of the Constitution that he wants amended. He's looking for a law, not a constitutional amendment or alteration. And when our colleagues will say this will run contrary to the provision of the Constitution, they mean he is not asking for any constitutional amendment, and therefore this bill or the law he's seeking will run into serious and massive collision with provisions of the Constitution. And that's the issue our colleagues are raising.
The Constitution itself came about through a series of constitutional conferences after series of military regimes.
The requirement of each office created by the Constitution, it was to further enhance the unity of this country. And Mr. President, you will remember that no matter how we try to allow our sentiments to drive our desire for a very united, equitable country, we equally have a responsibility to balance that with the oath of office we have taken as senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
As a multi-ethnic, a multi-religious nation, managing and harnessing our diversity, to me, can be an asset rather than allowing it to be a liability.
All right, so the program is still here, Parliament and Governance. Now, Dr. Patrick Awosaige, we saw some of the reactions. You saw the Senate President reacting and rejecting the bill. The basis on which the bill, was rejected is that it's going to run ultra vires the Constitution.
Absolutely.
Because the Constitution supports that any person from any part of the country can run for the position of the President. And of course, any person from any part of a state can run for the position of a governor as it relates to the state. But do you think, just like what some of the senators were trying to say, do you think that for Senator Abba Moro to probably have this bill, to be passed if it is going to come back eventually again, do you think the Nigerian Constitution may have to be revisited and amended, as some of his colleagues were trying to say there?
I think that's what he should be canvassing for, for a proper overhauling of the Constitution. Because that's not the only issue there. There are a lot of it that should be done away with. And we know it was supervised by the military. And we cannot trust such. You say, well, and you see the beginning, the Constitution that started with some shaded, unfounded words, like we the people. Where did we gather? Where there was nothing like we the people. It was Abdel Salami, an illegal government.
But is our Constitution?
Yes, I agree with you.
It's
See,
the
we the people, that word,
Constitution.
we the people, relating it with how it came about. If it were to be with the people should be involved. That's what I'm saying. So for us to bring in the people, we need to sit and have a conversation. That's why I keep going back to the 2014, the confab of the 2014. So we need to go back and have a rethink. Because the way the people talk, well, it's somewhat a fraud, if you permit me. Yes, the way it is, because nobody gathered. The statement was, stakeholders did not say anything. It was a military arrangement with some good brains or lawyers talking together. That's not with the people. So from the beginning, we have a problem with that word with the people. So for us to remedy that, we need to get the people to contribute. And let's see how we can overhaul this whole thing.
So
and then we need to change this whole narrative.
Yeah, so above it all,
being federal in a sense, in the way it should be, because the way it is now, we say we are a federal system, but it doesn't work. It's not, the Constitution is not operated in that light. That's why I said the we the people is not in the whole picture. So we need to bring the people so that the constitution and democracy is all about the people.
Yeah, when you talk about we the people now,
Yes.
don't you think what Senator Abamoro is suggesting
Yes.
may also try to reflect the we the people,
Yes, see,
thing?
that will be just one in the whole. There's so many other issues, like the issue of the jab wearing. You heard that the Supreme Court have okay. You can see, and somebody say, well, if the Supreme Court have said it, then I have right to do this and do that. There are a lot of issues that are not settled. I cannot really see a policewoman well dressed and with jab, and I'm some native African tradition. I cannot put my native chalk on my eyes to move around with my police uniform. There's something wrong. So there's no equality there. So that's why I say there are a lot of issues, not just the issue of, we're talking about governance. There are a lot of other issues that needed to be addressed so that it will be a holistic work, not just this picking one or two that benefits you. Is it everybody that will be governor? Not everybody will be governor, not everybody will be president. Not everybody will want to seek political office. But I need to live in my country, bearing in mind that I'm not being oppressed, undermined, not issue of nepotism or religious grounds. I shouldn't be punished or undermined because of my religion or my faith. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I support Muslim ticket, fine. Christian ticket, fine. That's not what I want.
Okay.
We need to overhaul this constitution.
All right, Senator Abamoro rejected the bill in line with Order 42 of the Senate Standing Rule. Now, Patrick Awosage, before I let you go, if this bill were to come back again, how would you want to tell Abamoro to present it?
Well, if it were to come back again, well, like I said, you need to get in. Don't just look at, you're only affecting those that are being elected. You should make it a holistic one. You should go back and have a consultation with your colleagues, because you need them to vote. You need them to support you, because a whole lot of them, they are not connecting with what he's saying. You know, you need to communicate it. That's why they are politicians.
You're saying that the people he represents may reject the
Not the
rotation.
people he's representing now. I'm talking of his other colleagues in the House, in the Senate.
Okay.
If they don't support you, that's why we are dropping it now. If a whole lot of say we are for it and all of that, we can work it together. Before you come to the public, you should have some underground work. Get lawyers that know what it is.
So is it a case of a good intent, but
Yes,
the way he delivered
exactly.
the message?
You are very, very much in order. A very good intent, but the way and manner, there are provisions, there are procedure. Just like going to the court and ask the judge, good morning, Judge, I'm here for today. You know, it doesn't make any sense. You know, nobody does that. You can't try that in the court. There are procedure. You must come into the court, grade the court, and wait patiently for your matter to be called. So for you to jump up and just say, hi, Judge, I know him, he's my neighbor, and you don't do that, nobody's going to listen to you. That's basically, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
You need to come through there are provisions, there are standing rules, there are ways to go about it. You need to debate it in subcommittees.
All right, Doctor.
Before we come to this point.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Patrick Awosage, I want to say a very big thank you to you for coming on the show today, Parliament and Governance.
Thank you so
much.
much
I
for
hope
having
when
me.
we invite you some other time, you oblige us.
It's always my pleasure. I will be here. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. So that's the program today, Parliament and Governance on Independent Television. So do watch out for another edition of the same program. My name is Evan Sunuku.